freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 275 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. We have a great show today. You know what our theme is?
What is our theme?
We don't know. We don't know. We're just going to talk today. We haven't done that in a long time.
It should be, can we talk?
No.
Can we talk? Your phone is trying to talk to us. So
so I thought it'd be a good time for us to just talk.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I want to know what's on Cheryl's mind.
Well, and I thought that it would be interesting to ask Danny a specifical question.
I don't know what that means.
So that is what is on my mind right now. I've been watching what passes for news, air quotes, always. I've been seeing all kinds of false stories flying back and forth and pieces of partial truth wrapped up in stuff that's very, very skeptical. And as I'm trying to go and unravel it for myself, which is very time consuming, right? I'm realizing, how difficult that is. We are in the age of information. Wouldn't you think that in the age of information,
You'd actually get information?
right? And actually, yes, we're getting information, but how much of it is verifiable, factual? We're also in the age of unverified sources.
But we don't do that anymore.
Anonymous sources.
We don't say that anymore. We don't say unverified. What we say is what I say is what it is. We're past that. The news now is we say it, it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line. There's no facts. They don't need them. They can change the laws. They can do whatever they want, and they don't have to have a standard. It's whatever we want.
Yeah. So basically, if you haven't figured it out by now, we are our guests today. We are just
welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Welcome to the show, Dan. Great to have you back. The other guy. And so really what on the topic of that, where, we're in the age of information, but really I feel like we're in the age of confusion about the information we get. I started thinking about, okay, in my life, there are certain teachers that I've had. There have been certain books that I've read. There have been certain even movies that I've watched that are like touchstones for me, like little mental touchstones.
Not like touchstone pictures.
Not like touchstones,
Okay.
pictures. Pickers, touchstone pickers. That's the way our granddaughter says pictures. So, I've done a lot of schooling. I've done a ton of reading. I go to, educational conferences. I just am always doing those maybe more traditional things that help build my, mental repertoire.
And that could be dangerous.
Repertoire, there's a word.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
It can, because if
you're being fed information by people who want you to influence you to be whatever because we don't even know if that information is true.
So speaking of that, so some of the touchstones that I have had, I had a history of world religions teacher who was amazing because we would discuss, class would start, we would really dive into, whichever religion we were talking about, Buddhism or, just pick one. And by the end of the class, the our classmates would just be kind of like, wow, that is really interesting, because there are familiar things. I was raised Christian, so there are familiar things in all of the major religions, world religions. And so, they would take that thing and then they would expand on it in each individual religion. And so you could find yourself being like really drawn in and going, oh, wow, well, holy cow. Maybe I need to look deeper into Buddhism, right? Like maybe, and I think it's healthy to question every once in a while, like, why am I conservative? Why am I a Christian? Why am I, and challenge your own thought processes. And I do that to myself all the time. I am, the
Oh, yeah.
the devil's advocate of everything. And so if we get to the end of the class and then my teacher would go, or maybe not. And like, it would wake you up out of your reverie, and he would just go, or maybe not. And so I thought that was brilliant. And so that's a touchstone. And the other one that is so powerful for me in weird times like this, where you can't really put your hands on, that doesn't feel right, it doesn't smell right, but I don't really know that I can know what the truth is my statistics teacher. And I'm telling you, I would have to go back and, review math and that sort of thing to tell you really what else about statistics I learned. But this was powerful to me. My statistics teacher would say, you can get a result from your survey, your experiment, your whatever, that's 99.99999. You can carry those nines out as long as you want to. Percent
of what you want it to
showing,
be, right?
Well, that's true too. Showing a causation, right? What you think, really what it would show is a correlation, but your brain wants to go causation. So you can get a 99.9999. And he goes, and all you really know is you don't know anything at all.
Right. Yeah.
Because the truth could lie in that end piece. So I just have a skeptical, I hope it's a healthy skepticism, but I have a skeptical way of interacting with the world. I'm always, trying to, play the devil's advocate in my own mind. Okay, but what's the alternative hypothesis? That's the other word that I got from my studies. I think it was psychology. That, okay, you have a hypothesis. You're going to want to make your experiment, right? Fit that, right? That confirmation bias. So you always have to be thinking about, well, what is the alternative hypothesis, or what are multiple alternative hypotheses? And anyway, so that's kind of how I approach this anytime, but especially right now, this craziness of it's really hard to know what is true and what isn't true. But so where I was going with all of that is, so I have like these traditional pathways to learning, and I have degrees and whatever. And Dan has not had those traditional, you have not had those traditional paths. You have really just learned from doing.
Yeah. So the difference is, and I caution both of them, but I want to get to your statistics first, because if I'm a professor and I want to convince my students that, let's say, Biden is a saint, then I could go to an area that I could get you 99.999% of the people that say Biden is the saint. Speaking of which, there are a couple of photos that are going around that I saw, and it looks like he has a halo in his background. I know. And it's like, tell me that wasn't, because it's perfectly centered. Perfectly centered. And so anyway, and that's the problem with, I think, with some parts of education. These professors don't want to teach the facts. They want to teach you what they think. They want to teach you what They know,
Mhm.
and they can prove it.
Mhm.
Oh, I've interviewed thousands of people and they all think he's a saint. So that's first. And the
Mhm.
second thing is that, okay, so if we based our education pure off history
Mhm.
and honest history,
Mhm.
then this world would be a much better place that we live in today,
Okay.
because we learn from, and here's why.
But what is honest history?
I'll tell you what
So
honest history is.
traditionally, the whoever is in power,
Mhm.
whoever won the latest war,
Right.
or won the hearts and minds of the people, they are the ones that
Right.
get to tell the story
Yeah, there is
from their perspective with their bias. And so that statement, I agree with you, but then you have to dig into it and you
right.
go, but what is
Right, because we
what
don't
is,
know,
you know?
I mean, but we have seen in the last 20 years maybe how they're trying to twist the history. There's people that say, well, there's people say the world is flat.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that say the Holocaust never happened. We
Mm-hmm.
know it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I have photos to prove that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, they twist it. So one is it's justifiable,
Mm-hmm.
or two, that it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's wrong. But so let's talk about your history with education and going through getting your certificates, things like that. Now we're going to talk about mine.
Yeah. What
Okay.
are your
I was
touchstones?
born in 1955, which is a
55.
long time ago in a galaxy far away. But I I did go to high school. I did get through high school, and I took a couple years of junior college. And I'll tell you, my history is my life. The things that I did. Okay, so if you talk mean to a group of people and you get your butt kicked, you either die or you don't do that again, right?
Learn some
And it's
diplomacy,
it's a school of
perhaps.
hard knocks. And I I I do think there's a place for people with high education. I think that they can get through things
Mm-hmm.
sometimes much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also some credit on what we do with our life experiences. If you give me an example, I used to be an operations manager at a major freight company, and when I got hired there, they took me in as not being a college degree person. But then after they hired me, and not because they hired me, they decided to go, we need people with an education. Okay. Not
Okay, now that we've
right,
experienced
right.
Dan, we need some
But
people with some college education
but
in here.
while I was there, 3 or 4 people with college education, high end education,
Yeah.
lost their job because they couldn't do it, because there's
Yes.
so much involved in
Yes.
the hard knocks. And I have another example, like gunsmithing. Okay, I started working on guns probably around 12 or so, like that, and I took no school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it might be harder for me to do things than it is for somebody that went through a 4-year course.
Mm-hmm.
But there's things I can do that a person who went through a 4-year course that they can't do,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it's 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 not written down somewhere.
Right.
It's not something that they were taught.
Right.
And so I mean, I would love if I could go back to go through my school of hard knocks, but also have a little bit of education, because I'd be a superstar,
Superstar.
right?
No, I don't want to go back to any
Well,
time in my life. I am always looking forward. But no, I love what you're saying about that, because there is a lot about, especially people that just are knowledge junkies, or, learning junkies, um, that it's all theoretical. It seems like
right,
things should work this way, or if we could just X, then magically Y is going to be the
right,
result, right? Well, if you've ever been a parent, you know the fallacy in that thinking, right? You can have 2 kids or more, you same parents, same household, you raise them the same way, and they end up being as different as night and day.
right,
So just as a small snippet. And so it's the actual doing of things that kind of weeds out the wheat from the chaff. And I think that's kind of what you were saying about working at that freight company. Um, so when you, let me talk about this. Where do you think you learned your work ethic from? Let's start there.
my dad.
Okay. And how did he
Well, when I
do that.
first started working, because I started working like when I was again 12, it seemed like when the light came on, and I worked part time. But my dad always said, and my dad was tough. He was hard to work for. I love him, but he was hard to work for. But it's like if you do something, do it right
Mhm.
and do it. Finish the job.
And
And I
did
catch myself now hearing that voice. It's
Mhm.
just like right, I just got off COVID.
Mhm.
I'm really tired. No, no movement at all. And
No drive, no
right.
energy.
And so
COVID really
I
saps
got
it out of you.
I got better. I got to about 90%. And then I had this big load of ammunition. I mean, we're talking probably 20,000 pounds.
Mhm.
And it had to be hand picked up and hand stacked. And I was on one of the last trailer loads, and I just said, I can't do this. And I
Mhm.
go, What if I do half of it, a
Mhm.
quarter of it?"
Mhm.
And then I did the quarter and said, and then pretty soon it was done.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the way he was, is you do the job till it's done
Mhm.
and you move on. And I worked alongside my dad for probably 5 years at the same company, moving furniture. And he was a hard worker. No, you can do it. And,
Mhm.
you know, walk it off, that kind of thing. And it worked.
Mhm.
And so I think that's why, if you would call us successful, that's why we are, is because we don't just say, hey, let's try this. Oh, no, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. So that work ethic, it's not just a stick to itiveness. It's also a, how do I eat this elephant
Right.
problem? It's just one bite at a time. You
Right.
just
You don't look at the whole project.
just keep chunking at it, chunking at it. And really that idea of, do it right the first time. That's a biggie for me. My
You try to
grandma,
do it right the first time. You don't always, but you try. Right.
thank you for pointing that out, that I don't always appreciate that.
Well, hey,
It's valuable for our listeners. No, that's actually true. But it was my grandma who actually was like, she's that voice in my head, because when I was about 12, we had switch up in our family dynamic. And someday I'll tell that story.
That's
But
when you're 12. See,
when
that's
I
what
was
I mean?
12,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a pivotal time, I think, in
Yeah.
people's lives. And so we lived, me and my three brothers lived with my grandma for a while, and my dad, he was there too, but he was at work all the time. And so she's trying to take this wild pack of, you know, feral children and, cause them to fit neatly into her household that was just her and my grandpa, up until the time that we all kind of just landed on her doorstep. And I mean, sweeping the floor, like, that is my mental image, sweeping the floor. And I would say I was done, feel like I was done. My grandma would come in and she would instantly, and I say it's magic eyes. I've used that myself with my daughter and my husband sometimes, is like, how come I'm the only one that can see what's wrong here? I have magic eyes. And she would walk in and she's like, well, the middle of the floor looks good, but how about
Why
under
did,
the edge?
why
How
did you
about in
pick
that corner?
why did you pick sweeping? Because
It's one of my things.
me too.
And isn't that weird? So I she wouldn't just have me fix what was wrong. Like, she would put the dirt that I had in my dustpan back on the floor and have me start all over
Wow.
again. And so that is kind of my thing, is I hate having to redo anything. So I would rather be very methodical, maybe not as fast as the person next to me, but just very careful in how I do things, so that when I turn around, there's no magic eyes. They're going to see the thing I missed.
Right.
So, but what were you going to
No,
say
I
about?
just say, sweeping is a funny subject because that's a very sore subject to me. I like the floors to be clean. And I remember I was 12 working for Beacons as a maintenance kind of guy,
Mhm.
just on weekends. It was a charity thing they did for me. And there was a guy that was about 70 years old that worked there. His name was Carl. And by the way, Carl could beat me up 5 flights of stairs racing. We did a race like once a week. And every time he beat me, and he's 70 and I was 12. but
That'll
he,
teach you a few things
but
too, right?
he,
About, whoa,
but he,
don't be.
you think you can just sweep. he taught me to sweep like art,
Mm-hmm.
that it gets done and how the best way to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Now we used one of those dry mops a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's funny because there's a right way and a wrong way. And I see people all the time with the dry mop, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because it
Just making the job harder for
either
themselves.
that or not correct,
Not getting it done.
So, it's again, it's that worth ethics. It's guy, 70-year-old guy took the time to teach me how to do something right. If you're going to do it this way. It'll go quicker, you'll be done, and it'll look great, and you'll be proud of what you did.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it also took you paying attention, right? Valuing his input in your life. And even, maybe kind of using that little bit of a competitive thing about, look, I'm 70 and I'm at the top of the stairs and you're just getting started. Those are all wonderful things because he didn't use it to squash you.
no.
And you paid close enough attention that you didn't just go, okay, boomer, which is a kind of a big problem we're having right now with young people, that they just want to, discount the life experience that the next generation and the one before that have to offer.
And we're seeing that right now. I mean, look at it. I mean, my life probably started at 12, where I was learning those things. I'm 65 now, so that if you just went back, just go back 20 years ago, and look at the 12-year-old kids that 20 years ago, and their work ethics are not the same. And then then you go back 10 years, look at the 12-year-olds, and we're getting weaker. Moving this ammo around, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, World War II. Think about that. These guys are out in the muddy dirt and all that, and they have to lug this ammo. And what do they say? I can't do it. No, their friends are getting shot up. They're doing it. They're going, they're carrying it wherever it has to be done, because that's what you have to do. And there's a difference. And see, people don't realize that if they want a successful life and a happy life, they have to do these things. They're not going to be handed it to them like by the government.
So the next question I wanted to ask you is, we've owned several businesses, small businesses, since we've been married. How many years? Quiz.
36 coming up.
36 coming up. Good job. And, so I was 18 when we got married. You were
a little older than that.
29. And so you had already had, life experience in owning your own business before we ever even met. And so a lot of the idea of, well, we're going to open a business and then what, I was just completely learning on the job and just completely like looking at you for guidance. And then of course I have to pick up a book or, something like that and start, learning from other people. But where did you learn it? Like, and what is it about being self-employed that keeps you wanting to do it with all of the crazy hardships that come with being not only your own boss, but the employer for other people? There's so much about it that other people might look at it and go, why would you do that? And yet we've done it multiple times. So where did you learn how to do it? And did you learn more from your successes or failures? And what kind of brain damage do you and I have that we keep
that's all
keep
that's a 2-hour show right there. But just again, my dad's work ethic. And a friend of mine, Roger Emery, he's still alive, I hope. I haven't heard from him for a while, but he helped me get started in my first business without being a partner. He just truly gave to me the ability to open my own business. And I think about him all the time, and I really appreciate what he did for me, because that was the fork. Okay. I was working full time at a company, and then I was offered this business, and he taught me the basics. Then, it's funny. It's like, okay, so you either survive or you don't survive. And so you do what it takes to survive if you want to survive, or you just give up if you can't. Now, some people, you can't make it. things happen and you can't. So I'm not saying that people that lose businesses are weak. They're
Mm-mm.
not.
Mm-mm.
But
It's all kind of
there
forces
have been
coming against
times
you that cause that.
there have been times that I worked 18 to 20 hours a day to shift things. And there have been times that I thought that it wasn't going to work, but I
Mm.
just continued on. And that's the worth ethics and just the school of hard knocks. Again, okay, so let's talk about our business that we have right now. I started those with my ideas and my background of what I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then some Missy stepped in there and said, well, if we did this, and it was
Some
hard.
Missy? Who would that be?
It was hard for a while because, this is your space. This is what you do. And then somebody comes in and says, well, if we did this,
Yeah.
and it was hard.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to give some credit to a person, a group, organization, Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Ramsey put the light in my head. And so Cheryl was able to come in and make changes that I still do my hard knocks, hard stuff, but she had some ideas that helped things grow. And so you people out there that are married or have a partner, listen to them because they might have an idea that could help you. Some of them are hard. Some of them I don't like. Some of them I think are great. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and go, we wouldn't have got this if it would have been for what you did.
Thank you for
You know,
that. Well, we wouldn't have even had a business for me to come in and start,
right.
throwing knees and
so
elbows and bringing weird ideas in
yeah.
if you hadn't have started it
No,
or had the idea to start
it's
it.
a teamwork. And and all this, we're a Gun Freedom Radio,
Mhm.
and we talk about work ethics and stuff like that, and that ties in really close to being a responsible gun owner.
It so does. And that is the perfect segue. Beautifully done. You didn't even know that's where I was going next. So we've talked about kind of like, our solid principles,
Mhm.
the things that, I felt like I pulled from reading or class or whatever, things that you pulled from, doing all the different jobs you've had and the people that you've worked alongside and who have mentored you. So we've got those principles, and then we've got that you have to actually do something. You can't just stay in a theoretic place. You've got
Right.
to actually do something. So now let's talk about, not just that we have a gun store, AZ Firearms, but we are vocal, outspoken advocates. We are, and I like to kind of juxtapose the word advocate, which I think implies, speaking positively of what we love, versus activists. Activists somehow over the years has gotten sort of an angry connotation to it, like let's talk about
Right.
what's bad. I think we're more advocates, but you've got to be able to hold both of those things, to be effective and understand, what it is you're working against and what it is you're working for.
Right.
So, where did that come from? I'm not talking about our history of, well, first we had the store
Right.
and then we had the show. In your insides,
So I have the answer to that.
where
already.
did that come from for you?
I have that answer. Okay, so we have a gun shop because I love guns. I love the mechanics of guns.
And that's an interesting thing too, is that there are a lot of people that we've known over the years that are like, oh, you guys must go shooting all the time. And we're
We
like,
don't.
no, we're working all the
And I
time.
love to
Well, you
shoot.
guys must go hunting.
I
No, we're working all the time.
and I love to shoot.
Right.
But the mechanics of the guns is what
But
satisfies me.
it is.
Right.
And that's, maybe we'll have that conversation someday, but it really is, you love pocket watches
Right.
because of the mechanics.
Right.
You
And I just can't
love
see them
coin
close enough.
operated,
Right. Coin op stuff.
like pinball games and
Yeah.
jukeboxes, because there's that, and slot machines, because there's that
Mechanical.
mechanical mechanism
Yeah.
angle that you love,
So
and
let
you
me
love guns.
right. So let's finish this up. So I like guns, and that's why we have a gun shop. I love them, and I love the history of the guns. I love everything else. What I also love is our freedoms. Okay, And the reason we have this radio show is not because we have a gun shop. Everybody needs to know we don't have the radio show because we have a gun shop. We have a gun shop because we love guns, but we have a radio show because we love our freedom. And if we didn't have the gun show, if for a gun shop, so some reason that I close the store down or just decide I don't want to do that anymore, I would not stop with what we do here because our freedom is so important and we're so close to losing it. Well, we've already lost some of our freedom. And so they all interlock together, but they have nothing to do with each other in the same way.
Yeah.
So, other people say, well, you got a gun shop, so you have a radio show because it funds this or that or that. That's not true. We really are passionate about everybody having their rights kept, alive. So
that's so true. So I think we would say that, we really want to protect and preserve our constitutional freedoms that are our inheritance given to us freely by the fact that we were born on the soil of
which
this
we're losing
nation.
quite fast right now.
Which we're maybe, hopefully not. You know what I mean? They can threaten it, but if we just sit back, then yeah, we're going to lose it. But that's what you and I are partially what we're doing with this show and with the speaking events that we go to and that sort of thing. But we want this for everyone, right? We want the freedoms that were handed down to us for everyone, even people that hate us, even people that hate the idea of our Constitution. We want that for everyone. The guns, the actual tools, we're not forcing anybody, right? We're just, so there really are different issues. The other side that wants to take our rights are trying to force on us something that they believe that removes something from our lives and says you can't have that thing and you can't have these freedoms. We are just saying, no, we just want the opportunity and the availability, but we aren't forcing anybody to go own a gun.
Right. And my next door neighbor, I don't, as long as he doesn't infringe on my rights, I want to, and I don't infringe on his. And that's what the Constitution is all about. And the fact that, just leave me alone. Let me have my constitutional rights, and I won't take your constitutional rights away. Because me owning a firearm has nothing to do with the next door neighbor.
No.
Nothing.
Zero.
If I had a gun on a cannon sitting out in the front of the store or in front of the house, has nothing that affects him.
I think you said that better than I did. So we need to start wrapping up. But I just...
before we wrap it up, I do have one question that really I don't understand about the Constitution. Okay. So was the Constitution written, and is it for the U.S. citizens that live in the United States, or does the Constitution protect anybody that crosses that border? I've never heard anybody tell me. So I, as a U.S. citizen, am protected by the Constitution, but is an illegal person that crosses the borderline now also protected by the Constitution?
So that is maybe a great homework project. And I know that we've had a couple of guests on in the past that we have posed that question to. And so I think that might be something that it's one of those moments where everybody goes and they do their own, like, let's not spoon feed. Let's not baby bird our audience. You guys go and figure that out. That's a great discussion around the dinner table or in the carpool or on your next, Sunday drive somewhere is, which is the way that it is and what would you think it should be? Right.
Right.
Then that even explores in your own heart and mind, like, well, what do I mean it should be? Like, so I'm just going to leave that for people to explore for themselves. But yeah, that's a good one. I like it. And of course, our Constitution, our little pocket Constitution that I'm always holding up here on the air, that's like takes you like an hour to read. There's been all kind of stuff, addendums and whatever's added to it. But you've got to start here. if you're going to understand it at all, you've got to start here. And the thing I was going to bring up real quick before we close out is, for me, that idea that someone worked really, really hard, fought, bled, starved, and died to secure something.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they passed, I inherited it. That to me, I mean, I feel the weight of that responsibility very, very heavily. And maybe it's part of my life experience. We, with our auction house, Pot of Gold Estate Auctions, we are settling out people's estates. They're all the stuff that they collected and gathered over the years, the things that they treasured and took very, very good care of. And they want their kids and grandkids to value it and want them to, take the family photo album. But we've actually experienced where there's people that, well, they want the thing that they can sell on eBay because there's money involved, but they don't want the family photo album. But the person who passed, that's what they would have really wanted these kids and grandkids to value. So it's heartbreaking to have worked that closely with situations
that's
like
hard
that.
because there's some that are hoarders that, I'm helping a friend of mine right now, and it's really interesting because he has a son, and we're helping him. He's not terminal, he's not sick or anything like that, but he just wants to, he's up there in age and he wants to settle his estate. And so the first thing he does is ask the kid, says, well, what do you want? He says, Dad, I only want the things that were part of the family in the past. My grandpa's shotgun,
Right.
your
And that's what I'm
favorite
saying.
gun.
That to me is like the
Right,
family photo
right.
album.
And
But there's other families that
right,
next
just the money,
generation,
just the money.
they just
And
want
that's
the
the
money
thing is
items.
that, like, some kids would say, Dad, don't sell nothing right now, don't do nothing. I'll wait till you die, then I'll sell everything and I'll get all the money. Um, but he raised his kids right, and his kid says, Dad, all I care about is what was important to you.
Absolutely.
I don't care about anything else.
Absolutely.
And so we do have this, and I've seen people throw away photo albums. I was part of an estate that had over 6,000 pounds of military memorabilia. They paid a hauling company, they paid them to throw it away. We stopped it. I bought it, and I paid a lot of money for it because there are autographs and there's just all kinds of history and memorabilia that it's going to take me a year to go through that was going to be taken to the dumpster.
Crazy.
So,
and that's it, taken to the dumpster, right? So
gone.
If we don't value the photo album, well, where's it going to go? Probably the dumpster. If we don't value our Constitution, where's it going to go?
But it's hard because I have, like, from my mom and dad, I have a photo album. I don't know who anybody is in there.
Right on the back of your picture. Well, now everything's digital.
Well, educate,
so I don't know. I don't know.
Talk to your, maybe part of the reason the kids aren't interested is because you don't make
sit
it
down
part of
with
it.
them, look through the photo album, go through those memories. We're fortunate that our daughter has always loved doing that.
Yeah.
And now our granddaughter, who's 6, she, over the course of the holidays, our daughter stuck in a VHS tape. Does anybody remember what a VHS tape is? Well, we actually still have a player for a VHS tape. And so she stuck in like a family movie, family video from when the time that our daughter, Cassie, was about 2, which is the age of our youngest granddaughter. And so we have the 6-year-old granddaughter, and she is seeing her mom at the age of her little sister. And, you might think, oh, it doesn't apply. That's not me on the screen, then I don't care. There's some kids, sometimes I guess when that happens. But she loved it so much that now every time she comes over to my house, she wants to watch the baby movies of her mommy. And I mean, holy cow, is that ever precious? And not just precious as in sweet, but precious as in seeing that maybe we really are passing along.
And it's your responsibility. If you have a collection and you want your kids to be that want them to hang on to that collection,
Mhm.
you have to get them involved. You can't just put it in a closet and say, hey, when I pass away, you get this. You got
Right.
to get them involved.
Right.
And like my 25 automatic collection part of it came from my dad. And we searched for guns.
Mhm.
So, we have to wrap it up, Cheryl.
We so do. We are running long, but yes, that is the point that I'm trying to make, is that if this document just sits in a museum somewhere, sits on a shelf somewhere, then we aren't helping the next generation understand what it is, where it came from, what was sacrificed so that it could even be written. And those stories are amazing.
Yes, they are.
So, so that is, it's important to care about it, to read it, to help the next generation care about it and read it. But where I was originally going with it is that somebody just posted up a video. And again, it could be that the things that he posted in the video only showed us what made his point, right? It could have been confirmation bias at play. So I did consider that while I was watching it. But he went to Harvard College, and he said that he was polling people like he's a man on the street. Hey, I'm just here taking, what do you think of the Constitution and the idea that it should be repealed? What do you think? Should we repeal it or not? Like the whole thing just rolled back, just put in the shredder. So he could have picked people that maybe he already had some clue, right? We're going to say, yeah, repeal it, so that it's dramatic on his video. It could have been the way that he phrased his question.
What's a constitution?
Right. Could have been the way he phrased his question to lean in. Sometimes people, they just want to give
Right.
you they know you want, but they don't really feel it in their heart. It's just they know you for 5 seconds and off they go. Because it's people just walking across campus and they got their backpacks on, and they're on their way to somewhere. I mean, there are a lot of things that could have played into this. And again, I want you to be critical thinkers and always, don't just fall for the dramatic headline that the guy that put the time into making the video wants you to fall for, so that you'll click, right? And then share. But anyway, he said he went to Harvard and he asked people, do you think we should repeal the Constitution? 65% of the people he talked to said, yes, we should.
Oh my gosh.
65%. So let's say even half of that's true, right? Now we're at 32.5%, right? That's a third of the people going to Harvard. Well, what does that mean about what they learned or didn't learn growing up? What does that mean about, have they ever even read it?
Should have asked first if they knew what the Constitution was.
Yeah, good point. But so here on the show, we talk a lot about the Constitution. I hold it up. I show you how thin it is. I say, you got to invest an hour and read it. And then I heard that, I saw that video, and I'm like, so could there be 65% of the people that hear the sound of our voices, not just across our nation, but across the entire world? Because wherever there is internet, we have listeners. People are hungry for freedom. They're hungry to hear about guns and freedom. But then are they hungry to understand what it is and read about it and practice it? I don't know. But what if a third of everybody that's hearing us, or even this dramatic 65%, they could care less. They think that this is garbage and should just be, thrown in the shredder, completely peeled back. Then I'm making the wrong points. If that's true, I'm making the wrong points.
Well, look at
Because
Venezuela.
I'm not gonna move a person's heart that feels that way.
Look at the people that escaped from Venezuela and came over here because they love our Constitution and our the rights that we have. So
Well, they love the rights we have. Do they know that they come from this document, and do they know what was invested in individual people's lives that were invested in getting this document written?
The ones that came here, it was hard for them to get here, and the ones that really wanted to get here know about the Constitution and what it was and what it means. But the problem is, again, we went to Harvard, right? They did the interview in Harvard. And it comes back to our education that we talked about. You don't teach what you don't want them to want.
Mhm.
So if we don't tell people that the Constitution was handwritten by George Washington and several others, and that they fought and bled and didn't get to stay in the comforts of their homes and lost family members for us to be free,
Mhm.
if they were taught that hard, then there's no way that you would get one person at Harvard that would say, "What do you mean? Get off this campus, you communist." Right? That's what they
Probably.
would say. I mean, you look at
Probably.
the 1950s and 60s, if you said something bad about the Constitution, you were probably considered a communist.
Mhm. And back then, that was not a compliment.
No, it wasn't.
Nowadays, maybe it's a compliment. But all right, we've got to wrap. This was
Right.
fun.
Right.
I
It was.
enjoyed it.
Hey, nice to know you.
Nice to know you. Good chatting. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much. Thank you so much. Really, this conversation was fun for us, but we could have this, driving down the road. The fact that we brought it here to you all, it shows that we're hoping that you'll pick up pieces of it and have those conversations with your family, with your spheres of influence. So, and we know that you're doing that, and we so appreciate
I heard a
it.
guy on the radio yesterday, and I didn't hear the exact word he said, but he says, have conversations with people, even if you don't agree with them.
Mhm.
Don't have arguments, but have conversations.
Mhm.
It will open your mind, it will open their mind, and then they will think about it. And so have those conversations.
Absolutely. 100% agree. All right. And if you want to go back and listen to any of our other episodes, you go to gunfreedomradio.com, click the on demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content.
Darling.
Darling. And if you want to see pictures and bios and links to any of the guests that we've ever had on the show, including us, both of us are on there, click the guest tab. And it's an incredible resource of some subject matter experts that will enrich your life if you spend some time learning about what they know. We don't hate it when you spend some time on our website. So yeah, binge listen and binge read. All right, everybody. Until next time, I mean it. I'm not just saying it. It's not just a closing tagline. Pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders, representatives, people who are in positions to impact the lives around them,
But
our personal
you
lives.
cannot say leaders. This is the United States. We do not have leaders.
Somewhere in our lives, we all have leaders. We all look to people as a leader, as a mentor, so I think it's okay to say leaders. Of course, I'm kind of thinking about the people in politics when I say the word.
No, because a leader has to be a leader. We only have a few politicians that are leaders. Okay. All of them, Cheryl? All of them, Cheryl?
All of them, Dan.
Okay.
Even the ones you don't like.
Especially the ones I don't like?
Especially the ones you don't like. All right, everybody.
Awesome.
Have a great week. Be good to each other. And God bless.
Bye-bye.